Partly kind of tongue in cheek because I was thinking about, like, how most feminists are so good, and I was like, "Wow, well, I guess I'm a bad feminist, ha, ha, ha." And on the other hand, I was also thinking about some of the omissions in the feminist project where oftentimes the needs of women broadly supersede those of women of color, lesbians, and trans women, other queer women, non-binary folk, working class women, etc. And if that's good feminism, then I want no part of it. And I'd rather be a bad feminist where we are taking a more inclusive and intersectional approach to the feminist project. Originally written individually, and then I collected them. And at the time, I was doing a lot of cultural criticism. And because I think of myself primarily as a fiction writer, and at the time I still thought of myself primarily as a fiction writer. This was me really stretching my creative muscles and trying something new and different. And it was really interesting to discover that if you articulate an opinion well, that people will in general listen and engage. And that was really interesting to me, and I have a lot of opinions, and I also read a lot, and I consume a lot of pop culture, and so I was writing a lot of these pieces for, like, The Rumpus, HTML Giant, um, the The Guardian, Salon, and it was where I really first started to find an audience, and so I also, at the time, was thinking about my relationship to feminism, and how it was a flawed relationship, but that, it did exist, and I did wanna claim feminism, and I wanted to create space within feminist discourse for people who were like me, who were imperfect, but with the best of intentions and, willing to learn. And so with some of the more explicitly feminist essays like Bad Feminist Parts 1 and 2, um, that was definitely on my mind. I spent a lot of time thinking about women's rights and how gender and rights have an inverse relationship depending on whether you're a man or a woman or non-binary. And people love to wrap themselves up in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and, say, like, we believe these things, but they don't really if you're a woman. And so reproductive freedom was a contentious issue then. It's even more contentious now. And so I was very interested in thinking about how if you live in a woman's body, it's oftentimes a very legislated body, and you have to be subjected to rules that men don't have, and so it's a very uneven and unequal state of affairs, and I just wanted to call that out. I never ever go into writing most pieces thinking that I'm gonna influence anything or that I'm gonna be heard. I just write it anyway because I feel compelled to. But it does mean something when you know your work develops an audience and you know that people will at least consider what it is that you have to say. And when Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin and Tamir Rice and so many other young Black people were killed with extrajudicial impunity, it really gets under your skin, and it's such a grave injustice, and nobody cares. Nobody does anything to stop it. And when you dare to even say the bare minimum in resistance, people act like you're really trying to create chaos and anarchy. And it was very meaningful to be able to say, this is not okay, alongside a great many other writers who have also contributed to this conversation about how Black lives do in fact matter. It was very surreal because all of the essays had been previously published, and so I would often joke at the time that someone could just go and print out the book and staple it together. And so I think it was just the right book at the right time and a different kind of voice talking about feminism. And, as you know, the second wave, we would not be here without the second wave feminists. And I firmly believe in giving them their due and honoring their contributions then and now. Like, the thing people tend to forget is that those women are actually still out there doing this work, and they are hardcore, and it's incredible, and I'm just glad that I get to write and work alongside them. But, no one would ever guess that a book written by a Black feminist would gain any kind of cultural momentum and then remain in print, and it sells about as well today as it ever has. And so I am surprised by it, but it's also wonderful, and I don't take it for granted. with the portable feminist reader, I got to pull together about 600 years of feminist thought. And that was just awesome because generally people like me don't get to collate readers like this. And I really appreciated the opportunity. I had to do a lot of reading over the course of a few years to make decisions about what to include in the anthology. And then, of course, I got to write little intros to each piece, and I got to write an introduction to the book as a whole. At the end of the Portable Feminist Reader, you will find recommended things to read and watch and engage with. And so I feel like this is a bad feminist portable reader. It's offering things that you might not traditionally see in a book like this. And um, I'm really excited to have it out in the world. It has done so much, it has gotten so much attention, it has done really well so far, which you don't expect. Again, like with books about feminism, people tend to, I don't know, be reluctant to engage, but it's been great.